right. Welcome. Thanks for being here to join us. We are here to talk about building AAA games in the Web3 space. And I have here with me some amazing panelists. We'll go through a short introduction and then start getting into questions. Jack, if you'd like to let everybody know who you are and what you got going on.
Yeah, sure. Appreciate the intro. So Jack Shing here, and I'm the co-founder, co-CEO of DeGen Games, and we're the team behind Cloud Castles. We're a decentralized studio. I'm based in New York. My current co-founder is in Los Angeles, but we have folks all over North America. And our first title is Cloud Castles, which is an action strategy title being built in Unreal Engine 5. It's slated to launch in the first half of next year. And I guess, the quick background on myself is, I actually got to start my career in traditional finance, so rose through the ranks that way, and came into gaming a couple years ago and was most recently at Tencent, which is a Chinese internet conglomerate, but they're also one of the world's biggest video game companies. Myself and my current co-founder, we started DeGen Games earlier this year, and it's been an interesting ride so far.
Awesome. Go ahead.
Hey, so my name is Jesse, but I typically go by my gamer handle Agrode or Aggie. I'm CEO and founder of Splinterlands. Splinterlands is a trading card game that was founded in 2018. Since we founded, we've played 3 billion games. So we're in 142 countries, translated into 10 different languages, have daily active accounts of like 150 to 250,000. We do more transactions in a single day on our chain than the entire layer 1 of the Ethereum blockchain does. We're doing something like 10 to 15 million games per day. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with the other members of the panel, and it's a pleasure to be here with you.
Absolute pleasure as well. I'm Tyler Druitz, director of Atari X and part of Atari. Atari X we created it in April. It's our blockchain initiative of Atari, and it's our 50-year-old brand. We just celebrated our 50th anniversary this year, being founded in 1972, which is pretty cool. And we started in blockchain in 2018, 2019. I came on board in April. We had a lot of projects out in the marketplace. Obviously, our IP is synonymous with Asteroids, Pong, Centipede, Missile Command. And we really just wanted to bring it all in-house, build a community, create Atari X around it, launch Discord and Twitter, and wanted to build around the community. And so we're doing a bunch of initiatives. We launched our first in-house project. We partnered with brands that we think are doing some really cool things in the marketplace, building fun games and fun experiences like Mythical games and with Blanco's Block Party. We have experiences in various places like Sandbox and Portals, and really pushing forward what we think is the future of blockchain technology through fun gaming experiences. So we'll touch on more of that, and excited to be here as well.
Yeah, thanks for having me. My name's Cameron Thacker, co-founder of Mythical Games, and we aim to bring ownership to digital assets in the gaming space. So I've been kind of interested in blockchain and in the field since like 2013. I was a CryptoKitties midwife in 2015, and then we founded Mythical in 2018. So it's been a fun ride to see the evolution, and I'm excited to see where it goes from here too.
So I'm Miggy Crypto, 10-year DEGEN in the space, who now actively works in the gaming industry, and I'm very proud to be able to be up here to talk with great games up here who are doing amazing things. At this conference, we've got to hear about catalysts for adoption. We've talked about influencers and how they affect the space, down to education. And when it comes to gaming, all of these things are incorporated into this industry. And so as you see here, we have some people who are very key to the industry. And so let me start by asking Tyler. Atari is no stranger to the gaming community and has helped pave the way for the industry. What has been some of the community response, both traditional gamers and Web3, to Atari now building in the Web3 gaming space? And also, what are some necessary steps you see that'll help increase adoption for Web3 games?
Yeah, great question. And coming into the space as a gamer, and loving games and everything. And there's a divisiveness a little bit around traditional gaming, as you stated, and blockchain gaming. And what we're trying to do is build experiences around quality games, fun games, and then partner or build games that don't rely on necessarily multiple transactions and multiple NFTs to operate, but really allow access and experiences through those individual games, whether it's token gating or access to other games or working with partners and building around that. So our main space is, and we have the opportunity as well to onboard new people, and we understand that we've been around for 50 years. Our brand is out there. People know our main core IP, so we can leverage that to help grow everyone else that's up here and bring on new gamers through showing the value of simple blockchain technologies and getting small wins and showing value in simple areas where maybe it's rewarding an action they would have already done anyway. You're already playing the game. Let's reward that smaller action. Or if you're already putting the time and sweat into something, maybe you get benefit somewhere else. So we're working on that through in real life activations and working with partners like in Blancos to show how fun and interesting and great that community was built. And then we interact with our Atari X community by running game nights and working with the team and having Atari levels, which bring into the lore of it all. So it's creating fun experiences and quality games to help show that blockchain isn't necessarily all about just an investment tool that can also be played as a game.
No, that's a great answer. I think with the gaming industry, we see a lot of unique opportunities to increase Web3 adoption because it is a thriving industry already, and the necessary steps to bridge that gap are very few. There's a lot of stuff happening in gaming that already preset, the road for Web3. And so on the other end, we have Atari, who's an OG in the traditional gaming space, now entering Web3. Jesse from Splinterlands aggroed. So as an OG in the Web3 side of gaming, what are some of the biggest challenges this year y'all have faced when dealing with overall sentiment of Web3 and gaming? And also, what are some of the things Splinterlands has done to remain a top-rated blockchain game?
Bear markets are rough, and they're rough on everybody. And like the FTX debacle and everything else that's happening, I think that slows down interest in the space. And I think that makes things hard. So I often feel like we're a small dinghy in the ocean, and what's really determining things are the overall macroeconomics, and we can just do the best that we can to steer our ship and steer our path. But macroeconomics seems to take center stage there. So in terms of how we survive, first off, we just avoid doing terribly stupid things like over leveraging money at the top of markets and then imploding later. So just like real basically, ironically, even we're in one of the most volatile industries possible, and our response to that is to act as conservatively as a business as we can. And passing by opportunities for 20%, 30%, never-ending returns in order to make sure that we're actually holding our funds, we are being good stewards of that money, good stewards of our community, and ensuring that the people that are participating and buying have some comfort level that we won't just implode the next day because we are making smart choices. So beyond just bare bones surviving, I really like this idea of how do we grow this space? How do we grow the pie for everybody? And one of the pieces that we're actively working on now is, we built Splinterlands for the last 4.5 years. We've learned a lot of lessons, and if people aren't careful when they come into this space, they're going to have small errors in their economies, small errors in the way that things work in their game, and the game has high likelihood of imploding as a result. Just minor exploits in crypto amplified by 10,000 bots attempting actively to exploit systems can hurt them. So part of what we're doing is trying to make our experience and our product accessible to other people. And so we're actively moving not just from being a game, but a platform for games. We call this thing Invenium. The last year we've spent basically refactoring all of our code to be an enterprise-grade software and trying to facilitate brands to come into this space. And the more successful that we are at doing that, the more that there's other DEGENs and other friends and family and people in the space, and the more that there's like trusted brands like Atari that are here, I think it enables all of us to grow and have trusted parties with which we can do business. So on the front end, I try not to do stupid things with the money that we hold so that we never explode or implode. And on the proactive end, I try to make tools that essentially can help other people make money. If I can help them make money, I think in turn I'll get some fees or funds, but ultimately the more that we can grow the pie and the more that we help other people land here, that's how I think that we can all have nice things.
And I think that's absolutely right, and this great answer. So for Cameron, with Mythical Games, you guys kind of tend to seem to be sort of like a bridge in between Web 2 and Web 3. We have the OGs from Atari, we have the OGs from Splinterlands. And so you guys with Blanco's Block Party has been pretty successful breaking ground in building that bridge between traditional gaming and Web 3. So what are some key contributing factors when connecting to companies like Epic Games? And also, what have you seen as the traditional game studio sentiment to the Web 3 industry?
Yeah, I mean, bridging between traditional games and Web3 is basically our mission. John, the CEO, he was a studio head at Activision, overseeing Call of Duty. Jamie, CCO, was another studio head overseeing Guitar Hero. And most of us have been, avid gamers our whole lives. It's really not a surprise that that's kind of our goal. We have kind of built a whole platform basically around this. So since we know games, we've identified this gap that traditional games had, right? So if you're playing a traditional game, like for instance, I've played League of Legends for the past 10 years, off and on. What a frustrating game. And I have quite a collection of like rare skins, old things, but they're stuck, right? They're stuck in that game. I can't trade them. I can't show them off to other people. And we've seen that before with World of Warcraft as well. So, massive gray markets pop up. So we know the demand is there for this, right? But there's no product. And so that's kind of where we came in. And so, connecting to something like an Epic Games, Apple, these large companies, they care a lot about their customers, their users, their players. And so you have to kind of give them something to trust in a little bit, right? They want to make sure that their players aren't going to get scammed or they're not involved in gambling, these kind of things that they can't really touch. And so, we had to invest in things like customer support. Gamers are habitually good at losing their passwords, so they need to be able to reset accounts. They need refunds. And these things, aren't directly compatible with blockchain, right? Like immediately. So we built this layer in between to help kind of navigate that and to take these gamers on the journey and give them the benefits of Web3, the ownership. And then the last piece around the sentiment of, developers, it's mixed. It's a mixed bag. We've seen a ton of people, a ton of developers that are excited about the space. They're interested. They're talking to us about all kinds of things. Maybe partly it's because they, were around when free-to-play became a thing, right? There was a lot of people that criticized free-to-play, and they missed the boat, right? And it's now pretty much the dominant monetization scheme of gaming. And so, maybe they see it. Sometimes I see it like this too, where this is kind of the next evolution of that potentially. So they don't want to miss out. But then on the flip side, there's a lot of negative press and negative things that happen in this space. I personally try not to even say NFT too often. I'll just say like digital good, digital asset, right? It's just the technology that enables this ownership and security and things. But the marketing is off a little bit, right, to some people. So I think, for those, we have to try and reach them with some positive messaging and education.
No, that's a great answer. I think those things are very important when trying to create those bridges. We see a lot of traditional gaming studios who have interest, but they're looking for reasons to participate in the Web3 space, as are these traditional gamers. And so for Jack, for Digital Insight Gaming, when I think insight, I think of the ability to see and recognize a problem at the current time, but also, see into the future of solutions to that problem. And so as a lifelong gamer and builder, when discovering the blockchain, what were the innovations that made you most excited about Web3 and gaming? Why build Web3 games?
Yeah, hey, great question. For me, of course, growing up, video game was by far my favorite hobby. And of course, it also turned out, one day to be my profession. For Web3 gaming, it comes down to a couple of things, right? For us, we really thought the technology was what got us really interested. Most of the team came from a traditional gaming background, right? And so when we looked at blockchain technology, when it enables digital asset ownership, when it enables that level of transparency, right? We thought that was something. Well, these factors are something that gamers have always wanted. If you look at traditional gaming, right? There's a whole shadow economy around Counter-Strike skins. There's a whole shadow economy around World of Warcraft gold, right? And so, what Web3 gaming is really supplying the technology that can legalize and offer transparency and, potentially down the road, a safe and secure way to transact, right? Have a very vibrant digital economy between players. And it's actually quite something that gamers have always wanted. It's just that it hasn't been possible. And we think, over time, it'll get there. And it's just going to take time, and hopefully something will come out of it.
Yeah, that's a great answer, because a lot of people don't realize that we have a multi-billion-dollar industry that is currently thriving, regardless of what we may see in the markets concerning cryptocurrency or the fiat market. Gaming is an industry that is continually adding more money to it, adding more users, and people are doing it because of the enjoyment of the games that they're playing. Very few actually monetize it. And so, as Jack mentioned, there is this gray economy that exists, and so these bridges for Web3 games are very hard to find. They just need to be created by great companies and great people like this. And so for these last few questions, we're just going to go into sort of like a lightning round. Try to do like 60 max seconds for each answer, but I'll give everybody the same question, and then we'll just cycle through. So I'll start with you, Jack. What has been the biggest barrier to entry for Web3 in games?
Yeah, I think Web3 so far, at least in gaming, right, has been a lot of marketing and good hype, right? Most products haven't been up to par in terms of gameplay, quality, as well as game design quality versus, your traditional games, right? Your AAA games would take years and tens of millions to build. And so far in Web3, right? It's a lot of teams still in the building phase. You have some games that are out, but it's very financially driven, I would say. And I think over time, that spread or that gap will close. And I think, it's going to take some time to get builders to really build a fun game. And from there, if you layer on blockchain and Web3 and potentially NFT technology, I think that's when the magic can potentially start happening.
Aggie, what do you see as some barriers into Web3 gaming?
Account creation, it's the worst. Getting somebody to their first wallet, teaching them about all this crap. It's like hand-holding children through college courses. It's brutal. So Really good figuring out ways to use username and password to get people started, and then slowly upgrading them over time to like blockchain wallets, and really being able to handle the nitty gritty of this. And then, we've purposely chosen in our chain ways to do account recovery because people like to post keys on Twitter, and that goes badly. So anything we could do around account creation, simplifying that. And ultimately, Brave, I think, is doing something really good by integrating all the keys into the browser directly. So if you could just have your browser like click some buttons, get your keys and accounts, have it live there, and as long as you're like interacting with your PC or your laptop browser, I think that's like the best native experience you can have. So, we build things and use things like MetaMask and keychains and all this other stuff, but it's always like a Band-Aid to, I'm really looking forward to all the various browsers deeply integrating keys and account creation so that that's taken off the dApps plate and put into like, the brand new user experience to all things crypto, which I think should really start with the browsers.
No, excellent answer. Even myself, I tend to forget about that too, and I found trying to get into some games where that barrier, even to somebody who knows about Web3, knows about that, still kept me from participating because it was just one too many steps. So Tyler, what are some barriers that you've seen or experienced?
Yeah, I can't agree more with what you both said there. And as far as education, quality of games, and login, that's absolutely huge problems. And what I've seen from our perspective is we're unique in that we're a legacy brand, a large brand in most cases, and then native or endemic to the gaming space. So, and I see others entering or trying to enter or even thinking about entering, and I've had conversations with some studios and some other larger brands about this, and I feel like why they're entering into this space could be misguided, not necessarily wrong, but misguided in the sense that, they're entering for either marketing activities or do they think there's money in it. And I don't know if that's the case at there's exact second, but and really as a brand coming into this space, it's where Web 2 was direct to consumer, Web 3 is direct to community, and as a brand, we have the obligation to provide for that community. And in response, we get feedback and get to interact, and it creates a whole different ecosystem between a brand and the people interacting with it. In this case, gamers. And so that's the real obligation and the opportunity we have as brands coming into this space. So to do that, you have to approach it in a different way. And what we're lacking right now is that quality aspect, and that's going to be improved as more Unreal games come out and better experiences and better interaction with blockchain. So as we move forward, that's what we'll be trying to do and partner with those that are doing that as well.
No, it's awesome. It's always good to hear about different perspectives, especially from people like y'all who are actively building in this space. So Cameron, what are some of the barriers that you've experienced?
I'm gonna third what they've said. Anything to reduce friction between someone seeing something they want and getting into that experience is kind of critical, right? Having to generate a private key, or like a passphrase and store it. My mom's never gonna do that, right? But she plays mobile games. So, from my opinion, if you want to reach kind of a large global audience, that has to be streamlined. Yeah.
No, absolutely. The easier it is to access, the better. And we see that in gaming now, especially like you guys mentioned, the free to play, the free downloads. All you have to do is go to the launcher, download the game, start playing. And I see games and industries projects starting to get that. So for this last question, we're going to be wrapping up this talk. And so I'll present you with this last question, and then when you end it, if you want to tell people how to find you on Twitter, that way they can continue to see the growth and see what's happening. So final question, if you just want to throw a couple ideas out there, but what is necessary to be considered a AAA game? Jack?
Yeah, I think AAA games, it takes a lot. Production value, game design, it takes a really long time to make high quality games. The leading titles out there, right, whether it's Call of Duty, Battlefield, etc. They all take years and massive teams to make. Prior to embarking on Web3, I was at a traditional games company leading their North American investment initiatives. and we were, throwing out tens of millions, if not hundreds, at leading developers, and even then it's a hit or miss. It's a business that's challenging too. There's new genres that come up here and there, but I think over time, I think if you can have combine high quality gameplay with something new and exciting, such as blockchain, right? So new technology, I think it opens up new market. And if you go back in time, 10 years ago, mobile free to play, right? Pretty much, very de minimis. But over time, it's a massive market, right? And so we think that over the next 10 years, Web3 gaming is very much a secular growth area, and it's an area where we want to be positioned. Cloud Castles is being designed as we focus on gameplay first, and so it's being built in Unreal Engine 5, and so it's designed as a very easily accessible game. It has ample security components as well, and hopefully everyone can give it a try early next year, which is when we want to come to market. And definitely feel free to follow us, Cloud Castles GG. We have about 100,000 Twitter followers already and growing very actively. And yeah, that's it for me.
Awesome. Aggie, what are a few things you see that are necessary to be considered a AAA game?
So my background is that I'm a chemist and a gamer. So I didn't come out of the industry. I'm not, part of Activision, Blizzard, or anything else. So to me, it's like pretty pictures and fun games. But where I have been born and where I have been raised and active is in Web3. So rather than just think about what is a AAA game, those things have existed for a while. I think everybody here would recognize it. When I try to think about how do you be the best in class when you are in the crypto gaming environment, and I think you need to consider three things: your community, your economy, and your gameplay. So really, the AAA games are amazing at gameplay, and that's what I think sets them apart. But it's just not enough. In crypto, that you have to try to have that gameplay. Otherwise, it's like a click to earn or a grind to earn, but it's not a fun experience. And then in bear markets, everybody abandons projects. So you have to have that fun aspect to really be a good game. But again, it's not enough. You have to, Tyler's been talking about, it's really about interacting with your community, engaging your community, growing your community, and ultimately providing value to that entire community, whether that's social experiences, products that retain value, ways to earn. But you gotta kind of engage that community. And then lastly, you need to make sure that the economy works for the smallest minnow to the biggest whale. And we address that by renting decks, so that even if you're socioeconomically disadvantaged, you still can access super high quality decks, but for fractions of the cost because you're renting as you go. So it's not enough to just be pretty and fun. In this space, you need to be pretty, fun, a good steward of your community, and an even better steward of the economy. And that's what I think through for all of those, for all the games that are coming to this space. And you can find us at splinterlands.com. Thanks, everybody.
Great answer. Tyler.
Yep. I'll start by saying I won't kid anyone that for AAA games, I probably could have, if I was at Atari, spoken to it 40 years ago. So there hasn't been really a AAA game out of Atari since then, but we are creating really quality that might be a clip that I'm going to regret later. But personally in-house, having created, we create high quality, and our roadmap of our games and the quality of the content that's come out is a lot of fun and arcadey and it's a nostalgia aspect, and we are coming out with our new IP now that's amazing. But for me, AAA is really in quality immersive experiences. And as that relates to Web3, I believe it shouldn't be a hindrance. It should be an improvement, whether that's ownership or community or the things we've discussed here. And so really, we're about to see the immersion of AAA come about with the quality of the gaming experiences within blockchain and how I believe the blockchain is going to improve it all. And that's why we like working with people like Mythical here, I think is as close, if not there, as far as AAA is concerned.
And where can these people find you?
We are Atari Space X on Twitter, Atari X on Twitter. I'm getting Atari X on Twitter and on Discord. There we go. And now Twitch and everywhere else.
Awesome. So Cameron, what do you think it takes to be considered AAA Web3?
You know, I'm not even really a fan of the term AAA because it's like assumed that must mean a good game. But some of my favorite games, most of my favorite games are pretty small indie dev shops and, you know, might not make whatever that cutoff is. But I think it's important to, you know, for your players to enjoy the experience and to have good support and, you know, a good ecosystem, like Aggie was saying, around the product. Just being beautiful, just being, you know, huge budget, it's kind of not enough, I think, in this space at least. And yeah, you can check out mythical.games. We have 2 new games coming out next year. NFL Rivals, it's like an arcade game with NFL on iOS and Android, and Nitro Nation World Tour, which is like a drag race game, also on mobile.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for your time, guys. I'm Miggy Crypto. You can find me on Twitter at Crypto33Miggy. You guys got a chance to hear from these amazing people in the industry firsthand. They are building the Web3 space for gaming and really creating these connections to onboard a lot of traditional gamers into this space. So as far as innovation, adoption is concerned, these are some of the people that are helping making that happen. And so thank y'all for coming. That was our talk about building AAA Web3 games. And be sure to follow these guys and keep up. If you like games, you like NFTs, then you got to follow them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you guys mind if we have a picture real fast?